Good morning. Today I'm going to talk about the power of the word. You know, just yesterday I was having an interaction with a couple of people on social media, and the power of the word. What do I mean by the power of the word? You know, it is said that words can be used to destroy or build. And there are people that haven't figured out how to articulate their words so that they can use them to build rather than to destroy. And I don't like calling people out on their words. I simply look at the words and I simply address within me the interpretation of it. But this video is not about whether you should interact or not interact or refute what somebody says. This video today is a topic that somebody asked me to talk about today. Is the power of the word. Vocabulary. How do you gain a vocabulary so that you are eloquently speaking with people with intelligence and professionalism and elegance? Well, reading. All right. I am a proponent of reading. And, I saw a phrase yesterday on social media. Somebody said, when somebody recommends that you read, it's because they're not reading. Well, that's not necessarily true. I am an avid reader. I'll tell you what I do with reading. Reading expands your awareness. Okay? Reading expands your awareness. I promise you that. Reading gives you context. Okay? Reading gives you context. You have you noticed on social media when people argue with one another and you become an observer of an argument, a discussion, you notice how people become defensive, argumentative. It is because evolution has not allowed them to reach a level of comprehension so that eloquence can be their primary choice when responding to others, whether on social media or in public settings. Reading, all right. When I visit a city, a new city, I read articles about that city. I read the newspaper, the local newspaper. It is what I do. I try to read historical books, political books. I read about the good and the bad. All right. Yes, I read about Hitler, and I read about other Mussolini. I read about Pontius Pilate. I've read about. I read a myriad of topics, and it's not because I want to just put a bunch of books under my belt. No, it is because I want to become more well-rounded. It is a lifetime. It's a lifetime thing for me, and I highly recommend it for you as well. That you're watching me. By the way, if you have any comments, feel free to post them below here. I'm more than happy to respond. If you have any topics that you'd like for me to cover, I'm more than happy to do that. So reading, all right, history, biographies. Biographies give you so much. Success stories. You notice how the Bible is filled with stories of challenges and success. Yes, and experiences and teachings. Notice how when you read a book about sports, about this guy from the NBA, Paul Gasol. You notice, his story. You read about him. You read about Michael Jordan, the pinnacle of success. You read about George Bush. You read about Nelson Mandela. You read about Emmett Till. By the way, Emmett Till just got a monument, and definitely deserving of it. Go read about Emmett Till. Learn what surrounds you. Learn history so you don't repeat the errors of the past. I love reading history. Articles from the 1930s. You know, people like to say that we are in a unique place today, in a unique problem. How far we are from the truth.
Speech on. Camera chooser. Camera chooser. Camera chooser. Your left 5 minutes, 32 seconds. Speech off.
Wanted to make sure that I was still doing this. It's so important to be aware of your surroundings, your environment, history. You notice how politicians today want to, some politicians want to get rid of this book, get rid of that book, and that's okay. Reading is the window to becoming a better person and to becoming more well-rounded. Will it give you all the answers? No, you have to be able to discern from different topics. You know, yesterday I was also talking with an acquaintance, telling them, you know what, I read everything. I read from the left, I read from the right, I read from the center, I read everything. I avoid nothing. Information for your head is good for your heart. It makes you more well-rounded. Intelligence doesn't come by reading a bunch of books. I recognize that. Wisdom comes by time and applying knowledge. Okay? So I was reading a bunch of articles from 1931 this week, and the parallels between what happened then and what's happening today are so incredible. The difference is we have social media, but it's the same thing. People are complaining about the government. It's the same thing. You know, you look at the Western Hemisphere, and you look at the Caribbean and what's happening in that area. 60 years ago, you know, we had the Cuban Missile Crisis. Yes, it's the same thing. It's happening again. Why don't people learn from those experiences? Well, it's because they don't read. And it's okay. So today, pick up a book. I also like to read fiction, all right? Once in a while. I love the Tarzan series. That's a great series. I recommend it. And I love how Rokov, the Russian, had it for Tarzan. He chased him most of his life. Even his son, even up until his death, Rokov's death, he chased not only Tarzan but the son of Tarzan, and those were just amazing stories. Why? Because when you read, you become someone who can speak intelligently with someone else. It's really important to do that. So with that said, I hope you all have a nice day. Pick up a book today. You know, I'm going to give you a book. I recommend you a book, okay? Personality Plus by Littauer. Personality Plus. You want to learn about people? That's the book that's the first book you probably want to read, because the concepts in that book are well worth the read. Why? Because the concepts in that book, the 4 personalities, were discussed by Plato in his famous postulates, right? Plato, right? Philosophy. Read about philosophy. Plato is an interesting guy. The math guy. Remember the math guy? Anybody? Remember the math guy? If you do, post your comment down below. The one that discovered what's the formula called? Remember the quadratic equation? You know, the hypotenuse? I'm not talking about math today. Remember that? The math guy is what I called him. I'm not going to say his name. Look it up. Learn history, learn philosophy, learn about the biblical things if you want to. If you're not into that, you're not into that. It's okay. Learn about the spirit. Learn about studies in that area. Did you know that? And I'm going to close with this. Did you know that a few years ago, and I'm talking about a few decades ago, a frequency, you know how the light has frequency, right? Waves, right? Radio have frequencies. They discovered a frequency for thought. Did you know that? Well, if you didn't know that, start looking it up, because what we've been told is not a lie, is that thought can transmit, and there is a frequency for it. Anyway, the power of the word. Remember, the power of the word. Your words, well chosen, can make a difference in the world, or they can create a war. Have a great day.